All right. Hi there. We've got this segment of Northwest Grown Plus, and I'm so happy to have with me Stephanie Celin, who is with the Portland Farmers Market, the communications and marketing manager. Did I get that all right, Stephanie?
You sure did.
Okay.
Yes.
And do you have a preference on Stephanie or Steph?
Nope, either's fine.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining me for this. And before we continue, I just want to do another quick little thing is that you and I have been in touch, worked together for maybe a few years at this point for
hmm
these Northwest Grown stories. And what's really great is that you've been with the farmers market for how long now?
2022, February 2022. So it's like I think we started working together on the various stories December of 2022. So it was perfect timing because I was, getting to by at that point I had gotten to know all the vendors and their stories, and I was able to be able to kind of point you in the directions and then be informed of who would be great to for you to speak to and to spotlight their story and their business. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Quick little intro. Our timeline has worked along well with your time with the farmers market. And just so for everyone who's watching to know is what's great is that I've reached out to you and now we've done many stories from the farmers market. I hear from my colleagues and from viewers, there's some of their favorites, which makes me really proud because there are so many vendors out there and there are various farmers markets under just the Portland Farmers Market umbrella, not to mention the many that are within other farmers markets in our area. But what's
Yeah.
great is that I would reach out to you and then you would connect me with some of the vendors who are available for like say a Saturday morning at the PSU farmers market. And we
Mhm.
just do these various interviews and it's just been great because they're always so proud of their products and to give them that spotlight and they're local. And a lot of people may not know who they are. And then later on, I'll hear that, oh, we got all these orders. We saw these people. So I'm sure you hear the
Yeah.
same. Well, let's get to going to my most recent one. And this, at first, I thought it was pronounced Havpaj Garden, but as I found
Mhm.
out, it's pronounced Hapa Garden. So together we'll watch this piece together. So here we go.
Okay.
Hapa Garden is known for colorful flowers and bold bouquets. David Vang tells me being at the farmer's market also gives him the chance to interact with customers who often enjoy learning more about his family's culture, including the origins of the business's name.
Yeah, so we're Hmong, being able to explain to them, yeah, in our language, it means, valley flower. That introduces them into wanting to know more about our culture and even like the patterns that we have, like the fabrics and stuff.
Agriculture, he explains, is strong in the Hmong community, and it's something that stems from his parents.
So, mom and dad started the business back in 2000 as flower farming, and then they did produce along the side with that, but mainly focusing on floral. And then um, 2002, we became vendors here at this market, and we've just been with the Portland State Farmers Market since then.
You clearly love what you do and what you grow and what you sell. List off some of the beautiful flowers and products that you offer for people.
So usually in our spring phase, as you can see, we have tulips, irises, and daffodils. This is usually, our main volume of flowers during this time of year. But we slowly transition into our peony phase, and then after our peony phase, we start trickling into the dahlias, which would pretty much ride through the rest of the year into fall, or the first few frosts that we get. But we don't only end there. So you were getting the dry flowers, yes.
You'll also find dry flowers at Hapa Garden, something that helps this business blossom year round.
We dry them out and then we bring them back in the winter and do these beautiful dried arrangements, which has been a pretty popular thing here in Portland.
Okay. So that was really fun. David was so
Yeah.
colorful, and he was so proud to talk about how this was something his family started, the agricultural
Mhm.
roots, being part of the Hmong community, sharing the cultural aspects with like the fabrics. And I think it was like an apron that he wears, and people ask
Mhm.
about that. He was just so happy. What are your
Mhm.
thoughts when you think about Hapa Garden and the times you've interacted with them or seeing people interact with them, Stephanie?
Yeah. I'm just reiterating what you said. They are so proud of their business and what they do, and the flowers that they offer. And just if you talk to them about, I talked to Shoa, David's sister, and the mother, and they were. got into detail about, how they don't use any pesticides and they're sustainable agricultural practices. And they like some people will say that they found, they'll buy an arrangement, take it home, and sometimes they'll find a bug or like a hole in a flower and come talk to them about it. It's like, no, that's because we don't use pesticides. We don't, you know, it's all natural. Like that's fine. You'll find that that's also beauty in nature, are those little imperfect things. But yeah, it's just like they're just so sweet. Any new vendors that come into the market, they're always like David goes over and meets them and talks to them and wants to find out all about their market. So they're just really genuinely excited to be part of the farmers market community, and that has never wavered. They've just always been that way from the start. And when I was a shopper at PSU back before I got this job years ago, I was just always notice how excited and how happy all of them are, and they're just yeah, just to be there and just be part of the community. So it's very inspirational to see them in action and just yeah, all that they do for the market and just
Yeah.
community and just contribute to the community.
I love hearing how what you said that he'll go over to somebody else and talk to them, and that can probably be a little overwhelming. But as someone who's been there for more than a couple decades
Uh-huh.
at this point, how nice they, all the vendors that I've talked to, they do feel very connected. And how could you not? Because it's a special kind of
Hmm.
club or family that they're in. I wanted to show you too. I thought this was interesting. I don't know if you can see this as well, but when I play this,
So
Okay.
you were
oh,
getting
well, it's upside down.
the dark flowers, yes.
Well, that's a technical boo boo.
Distracted.
Well, we'll get back to us. Boy, I told you, some things like
We're
that
just
will
yeah,
happen. We're
yeah.
winging it.
If you want to,
Well, it was
yeah, we
upside
are.
down. But what I wanted to show was that that is Varanya Gayunsawat, who is the chef de cuisine at
Hmm.
the one of America's top restaurants, which is Cannes. And so she just happened to be there. I'd interviewed her before for Northwest Grown Story, and she taps me on
Oh,
the shoulder.
great.
And she happened to be there and was going there to get some of their dried flowers, which he mentioned at the end of that piece. And so I just
Yeah.
love that you'll run into some top
Hmm.
chefs, you'll run into your friends, you'll make some new friends. It is a great
Yeah.
place to be, Steph.
Yeah. It really
Okay,
is. Yeah.
okay. Is there one that stands out to you that you wanted to check out? I know we recently did the story with Mio's Delectables. Do you want to check that one
Hmm.
out?
Yeah. Let's watch that again.
Okay, let's do that one. Hopefully, this one is not upside down. Thank you, everyone, for bearing with me on this. Here we go.
Tiny and tasty delights on display. Mio Asaka is the creative mind behind the colorful, carefully decorated pastries, so it may not surprise you, she used to be a graphic designer. The chef and owner of Mio's Delectables has been doing this for 10 years now.
I love baking and wanted to share the Japanese flavor I grown up with. And it's starting small, but because something really meaningful to me.
Her Japanese culture coming through in handmade pastries, and for an even more personal touch, some have garnishes from her own garden. Just as longtime customers have watched her 23-year-old son, William, grow up alongside her thriving business for the past decade, Mio is grateful for the people who, year after year, keep coming back for more.
Incredible is that people here appreciate homemade and quality food, and I feel lucky to be part of this community.
That community she loves includes the local farmers who provide the seasonal fruits she uses. In fact, one customer was so blown away by her products, he found a way to stick around.
I was a customer at first, and when I first tasted her pastries, I was like, okay, how can I get this into my life? So I volunteered to help with Mio.
And for the last 9 years, Chris has been helping out for free and singing the praises of Mio's Delectables.
The phrase I hear the most in my life is, oh, that's too pretty to eat. Yes. And truthfully, you get over it very quickly.
Yeah, you do get over it quickly. I'm sure you know too, as a customer, not just someone who works for the farmers market. You kind of get over it. You're like, this is just too good to eat, but I gotta take a bite.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's usually the first thing people say, shoppers, when they pass by that are new to the market. That, oh, those are gorgeous. How can you eat that? It's just like, oh, you'll get over it once you taste it.
Did you know
But
about
at
his
least
story too, about him being a volunteer?
I had no idea. I kind of saw him hanging out. I've seen him for years, and then finally, like the mystery has been solved. So thank you.
Yeah. And I saw so Mio, her first language is
Mhm.
Japanese. And so
Right.
and I've had this happen before with people I interview are understandably a bit shy because English is their second
Sure.
language. But I told her I totally get it, especially being the child
Yeah.
of immigrants. And my parents sometimes feel
Yeah.
that way. But I was like, I think you're doing fine, but I want you to feel comfortable. But at the end of our
Hmm.
interview, that's when I can't remember what it was, but she did turn to him and she was like, "Can you answer this?" And so he just started talking. He didn't shy away from the microphone. And
Oh,
that's when I said,
great.
"Are you like, spouse, family, worker?" And that's when he shocked me too. He said, "No, volunteer." I was like, "Wait, volunteer?" And yeah, and he was so happy to share his story. And that I've never met anybody who's like that. And obviously, they have a great bond and friendship that he's been
Sure.
doing that. But it's so cool that he gave that insight, and it was a good
Yeah.
friendship and partnership. And apparently, like the day before on Friday is like their super busy day. I mean, and
Hmm.
as you know, every week, right? She practically makes a mostly new menu. So even it took a
Yeah.
while before when you and I were talking. I think it took over a month for her availability to come up. Can you talk
Hmm.
about that from what you know, like behind the scenes, how intense
Sure.
it is and all the planning that she puts into her pastries every week?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Mio has been with us for 20, not 20 years, 15 years,
She had said 10
maybe
in the piece, but yeah, I don't know if it's
10.
longer.
You're
Yeah.
right, 10. So, when she first started, um,
So I'm
I remember
co-owner
her
of the.
booth was
Oops,
like
sorry
half
about
the
that.
size. That's all right. Half the size, and she was really, she specialized in the different little shortbreads that you guys sampled at the, when you're back in the studio with your co-hosts. But everything was just so meticulously put together, all the packaging, the labels, and everything. And then she started to slowly like increase, her offerings and really leaning into like the French pastries with like a Japanese influence and collaborating, or rather buying the different seasonal fruits and vegetables, mostly fruits, um, from the vendors, and then just experimenting. And here we are 10 years later, and she just does these beautiful, like, I know she would get red currants from Square Peg Farms, who's a longtime a farm. She also gets, I'm trying to think, I think she gets something from Wintergreen, or not, excuse me, Winter's Farm, which is, I think, about a block and a half from her stall, from her
Mm-hmm.
booth.
Nice.
And she'll get strawberries from them. So she's constantly sourcing, all the different fruits and stuff from from vendors. We actually, the staff and I got invited, and we went to her studio, and she has transformed the basement of her kitchen into this amazing, like, studio kitchen with just like top state of the art machines and technology to do all of her things. And she has her son who helps, and she also has one other pastry chef, or just like, yeah, just someone who works part-time. But yeah, and then she has some other people, some family come and help her put together. But it's a very small team, and it's mostly, Mio, who does all the planning and just, really keeps up with, like, okay, this is the time. Usually like September's chestnuts will start coming in, and she does a
Mm.
lot of like French pastries. And I learned, I did a little research about like the connection with French pastries and chestnuts, and it's actually a Japanese influence. So of the Japanese pastry
Oh.
chefs that are French influenced, they've kind of incorporated a lot of the chestnuts into those pastries, like a Mont Blanc, which is just like this delicious cream with like a candied chestnut on top, and it's just like, oh, it's to die for. But
Yum.
yeah, she's just very, very fastidious about just like it's got to be seasonal. And she has, every time, every seems like every pretty much every holiday she'll have just something special for Mother's Day, or even like the first day of spring she'll do like cherry blossom themed um, pastries. She has like a pie day on March 14th,
Right.
where she does special pies and has like little pieces of chocolate that say, that have the pie symbol on it. So it's just amazing. attention to detail, and it never falters, and it's just always been there from the start. And she does take time off. But it's very, I mean, it's just very well scheduled, and like she definitely, we work together. She lets me know, I'm going to be off. Well, we actually know because for application, but she'll
Yeah.
kind of like put something on Instagram, and I'll be like, all right, I got it. And then I'll put that in our Instagram as well as our weekly email that goes out to for PSU
Yeah.
shoppers.
You have to
So,
keep
yeah.
up because, yeah, her volunteer
Yes,
was
you
right. Like
do.
the newsletter, he was saying is the best way to
Hmm.
know what's up. And a lot of those vendors, that's the case because it's availability,
Yes.
it's what they've grown, it's what they harvested. In her case, it's what she's made. So it's also
Yeah.
so different. Okay, let's
Yeah.
take a look and let's talk about native candy.
Okay.
And see if we can play this one. Since it was playing earlier anyway, so let's give this one a
Yeah, might
watch.
as well, yeah, cue it up. Let's go.
Candy with my partner William Spoon Hunter. He is a Yakima native, so we do tribal fishing, and we sell tribal caught salmon and smoked salmon. We started in 2014. We started because my husband, that was his calling. He spent a number of years away from his people and the land, and he was called back to the land, and he started fishing, and he knew that that was his calling. Salmon is like, it's a keystone species, but it's also an icon of the Pacific Northwest. So to have people come here and get tribal caught salmon that has been here since time immemorial, caught by people that have been here since time immemorial, it's just a gem to be able to have that in downtown Portland and to have people come and show their respect and support and to eat some good salmon, to eat the best salmon.
Well, the name says a lot. Native candy.
Right, because it's like candy to natives. It's like it's a sweet treat. Elders love it. We have some traditionally wind-dried salmon here. This was a traditional way to dry the salmon that they've been doing for thousands of years. My husband's over here. He's doing a traditional way to fish, which is called dip netting. It's like high in omega-3 fatty acids. It's so healthy for you, and it's hyper local.
Continuing the family's legacy are the couple's daughters, Hope and Demi Spoon Hunter. The young sisters have their own business, Hope and Harmony.
Hi, my name is Demi Spoon Hunter. I am an 11-year-old entrepreneur, and I own a business with my sister called Hope and Harmony. Hi, my name is Hope Spoon Hunter, and I own a business with my sister Demi.
Together, they share some of the traditions of their Yakima and Creole heritage with others through storytelling and hands-on crafts like weaving.
Okay, they're all fun pieces. I remember you were telling me about that and that they were going to have their cultural attire, and that was in this fall. And Hope was a little bit shy, but then I had her sister talk first, and then she kind of warmed up. But they have, their presentation, and really what's cool is that they're working, and Christine and her husband are working to make sure that the next generation, their children, are understanding their culture and they're sharing with others. And I just love that at such a young age they're able to do that, and they're making. I mean, that's so cool. I also, Christina, I had some coworkers who were like, "Oh, native candy, I buy salmon from them all the time." I was like, "Oh, okay, you already know about them." And what's great, they are also able to do, I think, mostly year round. Am I correct? Do they freeze some of their products?
So William goes out and does that dip fishing. It's so dangerous. I mean, you saw that picture.
Yes.
It's just like straight down face of rock, and he's out there he makes the nets out of this nylon material, and he's out there with, the spears. It's, oh my gosh, so crazy. The What he puts himself through to get the salmon. So so he fishes. As you know, it's actually, the season just started last week. So they do have like first of the season Chinook salmon, which is a very special time of year. If you haven't tried first run Chinook, it's unlike any other salmon you've ever had. It is so flavorful and light, and just the texture is just so creamy and delicious. Anyway, so he just starts fishing and just fishing and fishing and fishing and fishing until the season ends. And then I think there's some other times that the season opens back up. But they will get their inventory stocked, and then they do smoking, and then they do the air drying, and then they're pretty much set until like May of next year. So yeah, they'll have fresh at the market, probably well into like September, October. But
Mm-hmm.
then it starts, yeah, then they start going into like their frozen inventory and
Right.
pulling that out. And that's great too. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel we are so fortunate to have that at the markets. I go to New Seasons or Fred Meyer and I see the salmon. I'm just like, oh man, it'll do in a pinch, but I mean, you're just like you're buying it from an indigenous fisher, and they caught it, they filleted it, they processed it, and it's just I don't know. I think it's just so much more special, and it tastes so delicious.
Yeah, and it
So,
goes back to people being able to support local vendors, local
hmm
farmers, local fishers, and
right.
when you go to the farmers market, you get to have conversations with them. It's such a
hmm
wonderful experience. Uh,
Yeah.
as we get toward a few more minutes of
Sure.
this, which I'm having fun, I know you are too. Forgive me if this is going to have some sound on it, but yeah, I wanted to show. I think it's upside down again. I want to figure this out. But what I wanted to show is that
Okay.
there is some swag that you can get. And so I got a farmer's market tote bag, and you guys have some of those options as well. And
hmm
so, yeah, it is upside down. This is funny. But these are cute bags. Upside down, right? You have different colors and whatnot. So
Yeah.
I
Thank
wanted
you.
us to be able to talk about, or for you,
hmm
one, when people buy this, how that helps you guys, and then talk about the other farmers markets, because the PSU Portland
Sure.
Farmers Market is arguably the most popular because it's year round
hmm
except for one weekend. So
That's
take it
right.
away, Stephanie, what you can tell me about that.
Yeah, so our merchandise, so we have like totes with our logo on it, different colors. We have a couple of totes that we actually had a local artist do for us.
Hmm.
It's a couple four different designs. There's one tote that has
Is it this
it's
green
like
one? It has
it,
like a rooster and an umbrella.
oh no, that's just the logo tote. I think you were at the
Oh,
info booth. We have a
uh-huh,
merch booth is what we call it. That's up the way, or actually down the way,
uh-huh.
on the south end of the market. And so that has a more like comprehensive. That features like the tote bag and the T-shirts with the local artists rendering. Her name is Georgina Brooks, and she worked with the marketing director prior to me, like 2020, 2021, to come up with these designs.
Hmm.
And there's one for each season. So the spring one is it's a slab of oak with mushrooms on it. It says Portland Farmers Market. And then there's a summer one that's like it's got a watermelon and kind of a picnic scene. And then we have the summer one. If that's the summer one, the fall one is fall produce. So radicchio,
Mm.
cauliflower, leafy greens, things like that. And then the last one is jars that spell out Portland, and then and it has different herbs in it. So for the P, there's a jar that says P on it, and that has parsley, and then O for oregano, and so on, etc. So, yeah, so we've got those, and we have some of those in T-shirts as well, and then we have like produce bags. But since we are a nonprofit organization, um, our merchandise is a major revenue channel. So that's how we raise one of the ways we raise money to fund our organization, pay our salaries,
Yeah.
and our Parks and Rec leases and PBOT licenses and things like that. So, yeah, so that's a
And
major
then if you
revenue.
can list off the farmers markets, I believe most are open
They are
now. Yeah.
they're all open. Yeah. So
Yes.
we've got the PSU Saturday 8:30 to 2 p.m. at Southwest Park in Montgomery, right on the PSU campus. We've got on Sundays, we have the King Farmers Market. That's in Northeast Portland at Wygant and 7th, and that's 10 to 2. And then we have Lent International Farmers Market. That's at Southeast 92nd and Reedway from 9 to 2, and that's a smaller market, more international. We have some migrant farmers and some other like um, local food makers and things like that. It's a really cool little market. King is about 30, 35 vendors. We've increased it over the last year and expanded that. So, yeah, there's that. And then on Wednesdays, we have Shemansky Park Farmers Market. That's at Southwest Park and Main, right behind the Schnitz. That's 10 to 2. And then in the evening, late afternoon, evening, we've got Kenton, and that's at McLennan and Denver in North Portland, right in the heart of Kenton, and that's 3 to 7.
Awesome. You did well if you're going to get quizzed.
I should have, yeah, I better have that memorized.
Yeah. Well, the time just flew by. We had some funny moments with some technical issues, but I'm glad I got to show people the swag and our upside down view of a top chef here in town, but also, of course, share some of our recent stories. So everybody go to coin.com if you want to see more. They're on our website, also on our YouTube page. Stephanie Celin, Communications and Marketing Manager of the Portland Farmers Market. Thank you so, so much. It's a great chance to extend on this, and I loved hearing more from you about your insight from these vendors, and I encourage everybody to go to their website as well and find out all those days because it's happening now. All these vendors ready to sell their local products.
Yeah, we have 205 vendors across our 5 markets, so all local.
Many to support.
Yes, many, many.
Thank you again, Stephanie.
All right. Thank you, Elizabeth. It was a pleasure.